Charlotte Legacy League.
Next on Eternal Durdles. Hello and welcome to Eternal Durdles. I'm your host, Zach Clark, and with me this week, Charlie Hearne from the Charlotte Legacy League. Charlie, how are you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So, what we want to talk about this week is sort of so you help run the Charlotte Legacy League, or do you run it by yourself?
I'm the creator of it. I have a couple guys who give me a hand building Excel spreadsheets and helping with getting everything together.
Great. So we want to talk about the Charlotte Legacy League as sort of an archetype for Legacy Leagues as a whole, and how like that can be, that process can sort of be duplicated and create sort of a community all around for everybody in their like local meta.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Awesome. So yes, first off, tell me about the Charlotte Legacy League. So what got you guys started doing this?
So the Legacy League came about from a guy I met playing Modern. He came up from Florida. His name's Andres. He kicked the absolute out of me in Modern, and then asked me if I wanted to play Legacy. I didn't know what it was really. So he showed me a couple of deck lists and everything like that. So I originally bought into, at the time, the Ren 6 Delver deck, which I absolutely despised.
I was a big fan.
But that's how I got into Legacy. The league came about because him and I were playing in between rounds of Modern, and then we just decided to start going to our LGS on a Monday night to play. And we, as people were showing up, we'd ask them if they wanted to play with us. And so I started building more and more decks to loan out to people. And once that kind of got going, the league made sense because I wanted people to have a reason to come play every Monday night.
Yeah.
And so for about 6 to 8 months, we played Legacy without a league. And then last year we started the league and kicked it off from there. Kind of
That's
thing.
awesome. So it's like you play this at your local store.
Yes.
And then it's sort of and then you have sort of a continuity through that event that way.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I play in a like a webcam league that's Philly local.
Okay.
But like everyone basically just stays at home. Occasionally we'll meet up somewhere to play a match or whatever. But that's just run through like a couple of guys through a Discord server. But we do have because it's a webcam league, occasionally like people that used to live in Philly or whatever. Like, yeah, I still I'm kind of grandfathered in from the league and
Sure.
whatnot.
Yeah.
So you have sort of an overarching goal for the league where like, you're winning your prizes normally like at the local level, but then you have sort of like a like season prize or something like that.
I do. So we have 4 seasons. Works quarterly, just like business.
Like the seasons.
Yeah, just like seasons. Right. We have January through March, and then so on and so forth. 4 seasons. In each season, the top 2 players who accumulate the most points get an invite to a 1K at the end of the year. That's no buy-in for them. It's part of the league to get them to continue coming, kind of thing. So we do 3 points based on a win, 1 point based on a draw, and you get 1 point for showing up. So you can accumulate, which is important because we have a players tournament at the end of the year that if you accumulate 100 points over the entire year, it's a free $500 tournament for all the players who qualify for it. And then we have 2 1Ks throughout the year. It's going to be the last 2 quarters of the year. We have one coming up this Sunday where you get 20 points just for coming to play in it, kind of thing. And if you win,
awesome.
You get an automatic invite to it. So if someone from out of town comes in and wins, kind of thing, they'll get an invite to the players tournament. So it's a catch-up mechanic for the players who can't make it every week, or maybe struggling, or they like playing their pet deck and it doesn't line up well with the meta.
Yeah, I think that's great because one of the things I've learned from leagues is that you can get people that get hyper competitive about the league, and it can at times kill some of the fun that people want to have. So when you have those systems that incentivize people to be able to just show up and play a pet deck or whatnot, but not fall necessarily behind everybody else. Just because, like, a perfect example is Phil on Miracles, right?
Right.
You know, if you were to take away, you know, like that's everyone knows Phil for playing Miracles. But if you were to take that away from Phil, I mean, what would we have? We just have a guy playing back to basics in a mono blue or blue black deck or something like that.
And he'd be miserable.
And that's that's the thing is when you do those sort of tournaments where it incentivizes competition, that's great. But when it incentivizes things like one of my locals ran a league where it was literally like every win you got you a point or something like that, and people started to collude, which was an issue because people would be like, hey, I'll give you my entire prize pool to give me the win at the end of the tournament because that's worth like 9 points or something like that.
Right.
And the epilogue to that story was that once we got like, because everyone was just like, no, you know, they didn't say what the prize was or anything, and everyone was like, oh my god, it's going to be amazing. And this is like 2013, 2012. Everyone was playing like Return to Ravnica Standard at the time, and when it got to the time for the big players tournament at the end, you know, the people who missed by a little bit were pretty upset with themselves. And you know, it got them a little bit soured on coming back and playing the game. But then the prize was terrible. It was not terrible per se, but you would expect, like, you know, giving up all these packs to, like, you know, make the first place and get these points and everything. Sure. And then the prize was like an underground sea for first place, which at the time was like $200,
right?
And like a box split amongst the other people in the top 8. And I was like, wow. Like, I'm kind of glad that I didn't like get too hyped up about this. Also, I was a bartender at the time, so it took place on a Saturday, so I couldn't.
So you couldn't go anyway.
So like, imagine like at the time if I would have taken off work, and work was like $200-300 a Saturday night,
sure,
right? To like win a 200, like if I won like $200, you know, like and you know, we do that all the time for Magic. We're like, oh, I'll take off work and I'll go to this big event or whatever, and I'll scrub out and be like, whatever, I came to have a good time.
Right.
But when you spend so much of your time focusing on that like brass ring, and then the brass ring just turns out to be crap, you're like pretty upset about it. So I think to go back to what I was saying, I think it's really important that you have those systems that incentivize people coming in and being able to catch up and not going like hyper aggressive and finding ways to like kind of game the system.
Right. And we had that last year. One time someone wanted to trade, you know, store credit to their opponent to get the win because they were very close to qualifying, kind of thing. And we nipped that in the butt right there, kind of thing. And like, we've never had an issue from it since. You know, people are very competitive there. We have very competitive players. As you know, we've got guys that top 8 at the 5K in Raleigh. We had, you know, Killian, who won the Oklahoma City land run. You know, we had Wayne, who won a duel up at the Gathering Place cash tournament, I think. So we have some very competitive guys. So
yeah, and I can see how Magic is already sort of a pay to win game,
right,
at times. But making it like a direct pay-to-win situation is never fun. But I think the other thing that's nice is that beyond incentivizing, you know, hey, play in this tournament and you get points towards this tournament. If I'm not mistaken, your players tournament there is a buy-in to that tournament. Like, you can play it as a regular player.
So we haven't come up with an amount yet for the players tournament for anyone who, because this is the first year for it. We haven't really come up with it. It's probably just going to be like $1 a point, which I know sounds really expensive, especially like if it's, you know, you have no points. But all the money goes back into the league to fund the league, kind of thing. You know, we just got our YouTube channel going last week.
Oh, nice.
So
we'll have that link below as well.
Yeah, so that was not cheap to get a computer to do it, to get the camera to do it. I'm borrowing the scaffolding at the moment, but I'm looking at buying that next. You know, people don't take into consideration how much it costs to just get a YouTube channel going, kind of thing. And then the time involved. Yeah, right. Yeah, you guys know. And then the time involved in it, you know, I found that it's around like 4 to 5 minutes for every minute of content for editing kind of thing.
At least, yeah.
Right.
Like we have a video today that I was talking to some of the other guys that we trade editing stories and stuff, and I was like, I just put out a 5-minute video and it took me 6.5 hours to like,
right,
because it took me just filming it took me 26 minutes to get 5 minutes of usable content. Like
right.
And then on top of that, you have to cut all that down, edit it. And I've gotten much better at editing over time, but like you still, it takes a while to get everything to where it needs to be. Then I have to download all the images and cards and everything. And like, I think that a lot of people don't realize that, like, it's not just, hey, film this thing, do this, and moving on. And not to mention, then on top of that, you're always trying to learn how to make it better, right?
Yeah. Faster, better, easier kind of thing. Like in the 2 weeks that I've been doing this, like I've learned more about editing than I ever knew before, kind of thing, from watching YouTube videos and just trial and error. So many times I've, actually deleted like the part of the video I didn't want to delete. And I was like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah. Thank God for Control Z, right?
Exactly right. Control Z is a lifesaver. So yeah, it's been very interesting. But yeah.
One of the things that I do personally is every month I will set aside for the channel. I will set aside a day, like 8 hours that I will spend only learning like new format and processes for YouTube and for either for YouTube or for just editing in general.
Right.
So I was using like Udemy course that was like 30 hours of like how to do editing and stuff. That's something that's like, and we have like a Patreon for that, but that's something that's like really great to invest in because it just makes the process easier. It means that you can make more videos faster.
Right. Yeah, my content's based on the league. So, right now I can only record 3 videos a night kind of thing. So like I don't have that much. So like we do a vintage on Saturdays once a month. So like I recorded vintage on Saturday so I could practice more editing kind of thing. So
it's always nice to have that, like that guaranteed content coming in. That's, makes it easier to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about, where we can find this, you've got the YouTube channel, obviously, and we've got that link below. You've got the Facebook page, and then you have CharlotteLegacyLeague.com as well. All those will be linked below, obviously. So you had a couple of interesting questions about Legacy as a format that I wanted to go over. But did you want to say anything else about the league in specific before we move on to another topic?
Just that, I'm grateful for the community that has built around the league and the people who come. Like we have people who drive an hour to come play on Monday night, which is, it's insane. The support that everybody gives us, from the player base, my LGS, Parker, Banner, Kent, and Wayne, they are, great for helping me get this going and promoting it for me, as well as supporting the store credit and everything like that. Because not only do you qualify for the tournament at the end of the year, if you win if you go 3-0, you get $20 in store credit back, and it's a $5 buy-in.
Yeah, it's great.
Like the store supporting us is fantastic. But yeah, that's about it.
Eternal Dirtles is proud to be sponsored by Moxfield. Moxfield is the best Magic the Gathering deck building website on the internet. You can create, share, and find decks from Commander to Legacy and even fan-supported formats like Pre-Modern and Old School. You can see all of our decks on our Moxfield. Follow the links below to stay tuned. So let's talk. I wanted to bring up some interesting points that you had here about like Legacy in general, and I think one of the things you were talking about, and I don't know if this is the situation for the league, but you mentioned something about full proxy. Is the league full proxy as well?
The league is full proxy,
that's
as
amazing.
Well as the Legacy 1K that's this Sunday is also full proxy. It's you mentioned about it's pay to win in Legacy, Tabernacles, Mox Diamonds, LEDs, blue dual lands, like all those things are astronomically expensive to a normal person that just wants to play Magic. I was a big anti-proxy person, and I was ready to die on that hill.
I was there with you. Yeah.
2 years ago, and a great competitor, Dalton Osman, who plays Standard, Modern, Pioneer. He plays everything. We were having a conversation in a chat, and I was ready to die on the hill, and then he just was like, "I don't want to play against your wallet. I want to play against you." And other people will come play if they don't have to worry about how much money it costs.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, maybe 15 proxies kind of thing. And then I just said, oh, screw it. Let's do full proxy. We saw our numbers go from like 8 to 10 people a week to 20 plus people a week when we allowed that.
Awesome.
And almost every single person who comes to the league is in franchise now. They own multiple. They own multiple decks.
You start playing the game, and you're like, "This is amazing," and then you're like, "I guess I will buy duels. I guess I will buy Ancient Tombs." Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it went from me having to provide decks for everyone to come play to everyone else has decks to loan out to everyone else, and they've taken up the mantle, and they are supporters, and they want Legacy to grow as well. Yeah. So proxies are amazing when it comes to getting people to come out and try a format, and there's no other way around it, especially for something that costs this much.
I think always for me, what I realized was that the giant hump to get over was convincing the LGS that people would show up, but two, that people would eventually start buying singles from them once they got into the format. And by making it harder for people to get into the format, they were literally just sitting on cards that people would be enticed to buy if they were able to like get a chance to cast a brainstorm and then fetch a land.
Absolutely.
If they just got to see those play patterns, they would immediately be like, "This is great. This is exactly what makes me feel like I'm having a blast. I feel like a powerful wizard." And now, like the payoff is that then those people generally end up going, "You know what? Like I love this format. It's fun to play. I'm going to invest. I'm going to start buying cards to do this." Because yeah, your local might offer full proxies, but like you can't go to SEG or right. Eternal Weekend and whatnot. So there is incentive still to do that. I think if I've learned anything from my experience with all this stuff is that vintage, almost every vintage event that's not Eternal Weekend is some number of proxies. Normally it's 15. Sometimes it's full proxy. And it's a format that I just vastly enjoy when I don't have to really like go out of my way to buy extra cards.
Sure.
And like, it was a format where like there's tons to do in either Legacy or Vintage. But one of the cool things about the Vintage format is it's so underexplored because not so many people get to play, that there's so much innovation that happens when you allow new people into the format. And I think that's an argument for allowing proxies in Legacy as well, because people decide like, oh, okay, well, like I play Modern primarily, I'm going to try and play Zoo in Legacy with these cards, and what happens is just more people are innovating. The format becomes more fun, and like let's not beat around the bush. New players means easier wins for older players at the very beginning, at the start.
At the start, yeah.
People are just going to make those mistakes early on. That means free credit for the old heads that have been playing until those players get better. So more players. It's what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the ability for someone to come in and pick up a deck, without having to invest too much money into it, kind of thing, is the way we should be looking at it. You mentioned Vintage. I was at the Vintage 1K up in Raleigh a couple weeks ago, and there were 60 people playing Vintage, and the only things that most things were proxied in that deck were the power. People buy the cards. You want to play with your cards, so why would you limit someone from being able to do that kind of thing? And so many modern decks are almost as expensive as Legacy decks now, minus the dual lands. Most modern players already have the decks. They just don't have the reserve list stuff.
The
Right.
Brainstorm, Days, Ponder,
Those are pennies.
all those cards cost cents on the dollar. They need to buy Force of Wills and occasionally duels or whatever. But
Right.
the staples of the format that are played in the bigger decks are honestly all the money is in the mana base, and if they can just proxy the mana base, a lot of times people will play.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So so we've talked about the proxy situation, but I wanted to dig back into the league again real fast and ask. So the system you have now, you've been doing for a little over a year.
So we're in our second year. We're getting, we're in the last month of our third season.
There we go.
So right now we have yes, this is year 2 essentially.
Year 2, yeah. Is there anything you change about the way you run the league as it is now? Something for year 3?
Yes. So to make it a little bit more sustainable is something that we're looking at in the future. Right now we're doing $5 entry, and you can pay store credit to play kind of thing, which is great for people who go infinite kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not great for the LGS, and it's not great for the league itself in terms of sustainability. So
and you want to make sure that you're incentivizing the store to continue running these events.
Correct. They get a lot of shout outs. No one wants to. You can't pay your mortgage with shout outs.
You cannot. I've tried.
Moving forward into next year, we're actually going to raise the entry to $7.50. So $2.50 more.
Yeah,
no,
so
I didn't want to double it or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the thought process is we leave the payout the same. So the payout will still be based on $5 entry, and you can only buy in with cash, which I'm working on a State of the Union address for the league, and so they can understand my thought process behind it, and the future of the league and where we see it going in the next 3 years, kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to the next 3 years of the league and trying to make it better for everyone.
I have something to say to your league, to the people that are enjoying the format as sort of a I don't know exactly what the word is. It's sort of a tale of caution about being upset about a small increase like that. It is a 50% increase, but like when you told me $5, I was like, $5. Wow, that's so low. Because like we were doing, I think at the LGS I hung out at in Brooklyn, we were doing $15 for Legacy Nights, and I think the winner walked away with like $60 in credit or whatever, and it was like 60, 30, and then like 20, 20, 20.
Sure.
Something like that. But the thing I wanted to say is that, so there was a point in time where there was LGS that was literally walking distance from where I lived, upped it to $20, basically so they could use like Eventbrite to do their ticketing system, so that they wanted to make it a little bit easier for them to do stuff, and they changed a couple of their policies. Things got slightly more expensive. Slightly more expensive. Everyone raised a big stink, and the LGS basically decided, like, you know what? It's not worth the complaints. It's not worth the constant, nagging about like a couple of bucks, so that like, what we're doing is basically a service to the legacy community, because like they're not making so many people had gone infinite, did have enough money that like, you win every 4 weeks, and there you go. And they're playing other events too, so that they were trading in cards and getting to a point where the LGS wasn't actually making any cash on those nights. Well, they eventually walked away from doing Legacy, and then eventually walked away from having singles, so that all they did, and they still do this now, all they do is run limited events. And now the place that was walking distance from where I lived, basically didn't run any events that I wanted to play in. Beyond that, so the other place that I could go there was a place that did it in Manhattan that was kind of and the community there was not as good, or the place where everyone plays now, 90s MTG plays. To give you an idea, I lived here in Brooklyn, and Queens is up here. I had to take a train from my place through Manhattan up to Queens. Hour and a half if I wanted to play Legacy on a Monday night. So all that complaining, all that bickering that everybody did, basically just like killed a place that everyone could play at. And like looking back, also like an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back. That's 3 hours just so that I could play Legacy, or I had to take a $40 cab ride. Well, $40 is a heck of a lot more than the the extra $250 I would have been paying to basically enjoy a fun night. So one thing I always say to people is when the price goes up like that is like, think about the actual value you're getting, not the value on the money that you were paying. Because one of the things I really do miss about that was being able to just like, hey, I'm just gonna go like, walk out my door, walk a couple of blocks, and go play. And if you're having fun, hang out with your friends and playing, like I don't think that I even care that much about the cost of the like what I was winning in the tournament. It was just having a community and being able to play. And I think that that's something that's super important, especially with the league, is like having those people that you see every week, getting to BS with them and stuff like that. Because now I have this like webcam league because I moved. I have this webcam league, and I can play every week at like the local brewery or whatever they get together, which is great. But then there's no competition. Really, it's just like getting together to jam games, and then I have Phil, and that's all I've got as far as like Legacy, or until I go to like a large event. Like we're going to Vegas, and that'll be a blast. But like, I can't go to Vegas every week to play Magic.
Right.
So I just as a cautionary tale, I think that it's worth reminding people that the value is more than, especially $750. Like I would pay $750 just to go play Legacy somewhere and have tables. That to me, without anything else. That's almost the cost of like, that's less than the beer. Like.
Sure.
It's
yeah.
100% worth it. Yeah.
It's 3 hours of entertainment for $7.50, which you can't get anywhere at this point, kind of thing.
No.
So it's been a thought for the past couple of months for me, kind of thing, to do that increase that allows the league to fund itself instead of me funding it out of pocket.
Yeah.
So I think people will be receptive to it, especially once I lay out the foundation of what our plans are and what I'd like to see the league become over the next 3 years. So
yeah, and we wish you luck here. Obviously, I think that this is the sort of thing that more local players, especially if you have an LGS that has like an open night that's just nothing's happening. More players should look to do this sort of stuff to continue to thrive and foster the Legacy community to begin with, because it's not dead. And I think for a while it was certainly dying. But there's definitely room to bring Legacy back into the LGSs, especially if you're doing proxies, and creating a community like a league does.
Right. Yeah, the Wizards makes it a little difficult for LGSs to support it because of proxies and the WPN status and stuff like that. But that's where like the individual comes into play, and the individual, me, I run the league. The LGS is just allowing me to utilize their space on an open night, and that's a great way for a store to get around that particular aspect of the rules. That I'm a third party. I'm the one hosting and running the event. It has nothing to do with the LGS or their status. So they're just basically letting me use their play area on an open night.
Yeah, that sounds. I mean, that's the best of all worlds. Is if you can find a way to make it so that no one's putting their WPN status at
correct. Yeah, and that should inspire like store owners to embrace someone wanting to do this in whatever format they want to do. I bring 20 to 25 people to a store on a night that's usually not busy, kind of thing. So
yeah, and they're buying sleeves, they're buying
sleeves,
refreshments,
dice,
stuff like that, dice, all that stuff. So it does work out to the advantage of the shop. If they're not like I said, like if they're not doing anything that night, they might as well get people in there.
Sure. So yeah, that's we'll see what else we have to go over.
Yeah. Oh well, I think so. One of the other questions that you posted here that I think was really interesting was what steps other people can take to foster and grow their local legacy community.
Consistency is the number one thing that you have to grow any community, as well as screaming it from the rooftops and constantly talking about it to the point where people are like, please shut up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it takes someone who is a cheerleader for whatever format you want, but the consistency of showing up week in, week out, no matter what, is what it truly takes to run and put together something like this. It has to be centrally located in a way to where people can get to it. It has to be there. No one wants to show up to a night and no one else is there. That's the fastest way for something to die is, you're like, all right, I'm going to go play tonight. And then you get there and there's no one there kind of thing.
Yeah. We had a every other week situation at a place and it confused so many people.
Right.
They were like, oh yeah, we can do it every other week. Cause like every other week, this table's going to be taken for Warhammer. And I was like, just never mind. Like people aren't going to come if it's not weekly.
Right. If it's not weekly,
I don't want to remember if it's an on or off week.
If it's not consistent, if you don't have people consistently showing up. So like if you're the one who wants to foster your own league, your own whatever, you need to be the one that's sitting there before anyone else walks in the door. So they see your face every single time. And they know that you're going to be there no matter what. So yes, that consistency is the number one thing. Everything else, is already been done. Tournaments, leagues, all that information's out there and available. It's just how you want to structure your own thing. But the consistency of showing up every week is the most important thing.
Yeah. So final thoughts, final notes. The league's open to everyone in the like Charlotte area that can get to the shop.
Yes.
So you do, like you said, you do this every week. What night of the week does this happen?
It's happening on Monday night tonight. So tonight is Monday.
Monday night.
Yes.
Nice. Monday night's a great night for Legacy. Everyone seems to be doing Monday Night Legacy.
Yeah, it's everyone just got done with their first day of work, and all they want to come jam cards. So why not? So we do it Mondays at 7:00. We cap it at 3 rounds, no matter how many people are there. That way, people can get home at a decent time.
Yeah, get back.
So no one wants to, because normally, 20, 25 people showing up, you're 5 rounds kind of thing. Like people don't want to do that on a Monday night. So it's capped at 3 rounds, which also makes it very easy for you to know what it's going to take to qualify for a tournament. Like, there's 10 points per week available kind of thing if you 3-0, and then there's 52 weeks. So like, you know what it's going to take to do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, it's been a blast having you on. Thanks so much for coming on and talking about this. This is a really cool concept, and it's just a really great way to push the community forward.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and I listen to you guys every week for like at least the past 3 years. So
awesome! Thanks so much.
It's been great. Thanks so much, Zach.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks so much. Hey, thanks for watching. Give this video a like if you can, subscribe to the channel, and check out this Wildsville Drain review.